Good morning, Heart Place Hospital. Letters to a Future Nurse. I'm sharing the stories that our news and media won't share on my YouTube channel. So today is Chapter 6, Having Patience with Your Patients by Tiffany Freckleton. A baby cries. Her arm and eyes are squeezed tightly together underneath a head of full jet black hair. Weighing 9 pounds 11 ounces, she's bigger than most babies in the neonatal intensive care unit, also known as the NICU. This is my third shift in my new unit. I'm trying to absorb everything around me. I'm watching Angie, the nurse training me, as she skillfully studies the child's arms and legs, looking for the right place to insert an IV. It's something I've done hundreds of times, but never on a human so small. The infant's parents have just arrived. I know she is their third child, but I don't know if they've been in a NICU before. I suddenly wonder if this is the first time they've seen their child since her birth earlier that day. She cries again, and I return my attention to her. Though she appears full term, she is premature at 34 weeks gestational age. She shakes her head back and forth, frantically trying to coordinate her movements, unable to suck on the pacifier I'm offering her. As I'm talking softly, part of me feels as though she senses my awkwardness and refuses her binky despite me. Across from me, I'm aware of Angie's frustration with both myself and the infant, neither of us being able to trust our instincts. You can help, Angie says. My cheeks redden, flushed with heat, but I realise she's speaking to the baby's parents, who are watching us quietly. They don't move from the safety of their corner, and I don't blame them. I imagine how we look in their eyes, huddled around their infant daughter, unable to calm her cries. After a deep breath, Angie's voice becomes softer, more melodic. Really, come, talk to your baby, hold her hand. It will bring her comfort to know you're here. In the NICU, involving the parents in the baby's care is vital. The mother remains huddled in her wheelchair and her eyes cast down. The father surprises us as he slowly stands. He's not much taller than I am and younger than I realised. His oversized 3XL t-shirt almost comes to his knees. He takes a few steps towards us and his eyes soften. Love fills them as he gazes down on his newborn daughter. "Oh, baby," he coos, calling her by her name. She stops, mid-cry. Her eyes open wide and she whips her head towards his voice. Exhaling softly, she becomes instantly calm. She is still for the first time, soothed by her father's familiar voice. Finally, she accepts the pacifier and I'm able to administer oral sucrose so Angie can place the IV. It's March 2020. I have just started as a registered nurse in the NICU. Even though I have 18 years of experience in healthcare, I'm feeling overwhelmed, excited and scared at the same time. I'm starting over in my career. In many ways, I feel like you, dear future nurse. I graduated with my associate's degree in nursing in 2004 from a state college in a small rural town. Today, in 2022, it's a much larger city, and that little college is a university with a different name. One thing hasn't yet changed. There's still only one hospital, though I no longer recognise it as the one where my journey began. Starting out as a CNA, I worked my way through my LPN and RN degrees. First in the float pool, worked everywhere, mid-surge, ortho, peds, postpartum and cardiac, eventually becoming an ICU nurse. Different hospitals, different cities, until one day I found the NICU. Spoiler alert, it's the best kept secret in healthcare. There's something to be said about working somewhere that you have the potential to see your patients out in the real world. You build different connections with them. They become less of a diagnosis and more of a person. Conversations usually begin with, "Hey, you look familiar," then awkwardly become necessary to elaborate to anyone listening. That, "Oh, you look different with your clothes on," which means as opposed to wearing scrubs. You all seem to ignore the pink elephant in the room that perhaps they may have been the one without their clothes on. I've always considered myself lucky to be in healthcare. Being a nurse had opened doors and opportunities for me even when I wasn't looking for them. Healthcare will always be there, adapting, improving and challenging you. It's almost like a secret code. I'm a nurse. The possibilities are endless. Whatever your goal or ambitions may be, you can find your place. You can see what works for you in the moment and change it up at any time. I love this about nursing. Everyone has a different reason for becoming a nurse, but the end goal is usually the same: compassion, love, hope, and wanting to help others. Looking back, my reason why began with my mum and her sisters. Her younger sister Karen, the aunt I adore, worked as an ICU nurse and flight nurse. I only know their older sister Becky, the aunt I was named after, through stories. She was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis at the age of 29, and sadly she lost the battle only a few years later. I was 4 years at the time. My only memories of Becky were sneaking into her room when she was in hospice under the loving care of her sisters and family. I remember her smile, the way she would place her hand on my mum's arm, telling her it was okay for me to stay. I felt my Auntie Becky with me every step through nursing school. I saw her in every patient. Firstly, understanding her diagnosis of MS and the impact of these memories were humbling. Life came full circle. I saw my mum and every one of these family members sitting at the bedside, aspired to become a nurse, much like my Aunt Karen, the younger sister my mother was so proud of. So it was only natural when I graduated from nursing school, I took these words from my favourite instructor to heart. Never forget that someone's family member. Their mother, father, wife, husband, daughter, son, or grandparent. This person matters to someone. They don't care if you aren't the smartest nurse in the room, your GPA in nursing school, or how many questions you got on the NCLEX. Nurses are often faceless and nameless in memories. They are remembered as a whole, but not individually. Patients will remember how you make them feel and how you treat them. Families will remember what they see. They will judge you on how their loved ones appeared, what the room looks like as they walk in, and possibly wonder if they even trust you. Take pride in what skills you have, but please make time to do the little things for your patients. Hold their hand, listen to their stories, and get to know them. Always make sure the linen is clean. In my better moments, I've braided hair, shaved scruffy faces, and left the hospital feeling like I made a difference that day. The best way to cheer yourself up is by doing something for someone else. I want to share a story with you. It's not my own, but it could be. It's been a long day. The nurse is grateful to be sitting at the kitchen counter watching her new boyfriend make dinner as she enjoys a glass of wine. She is new to the ICU and she wishes it had only been a 12-hour shift. The nurse is venting about her day, frustrations with management, staffing, and one particular patient. The lady is rude and ungrateful and won't do anything for herself, ringing the call light like a bell. She's the worst kind of patient in this young nurse's mind. Most ICU nurses do tend to prefer their patients intubated and sedated. As the nurse is talking to her boyfriend listens, something about her story feels familiar to him. He asks her, I know you can't say anything, but what if I were to guess the lady's name? Would you tell me if I was right? Any nurse knows this is a dangerous territory, but curiosity kills the cat every time. They go back and forth over what, how, and why she agrees with a hair toss and a shoulder shrug. The boyfriend names a name. Silence fills the room. The nurse thinks for a minute. She realises he knows where she works, which unit she's in, so she admits the truth. How did you know that? He looks at her and says, because that's my mum. People come in our lives in unexpected ways, the good, the bad, and the ugly. That's nursing for you. You know the ripple effect you create or the role you play in someone's story. The clear moments in one's mind might be blurry in another. The next story is mine. One evening after I left work, my boyfriend Nick and I stopped by the gas station near our home. My boyfriend pays attention to many things I don't. A few weeks prior, he had eavesdropped on a conversation here. The clerk had been telling a co-worker about his new baby. She had come earlier than expected and was still in the hospital. As we drove past each day, I wondered how they were doing. Tonight, the man was there. At first he was taken aback by two strangers could know of his child. Quickly, I pointed to my navy blue scrubs. I'm a nurse and I work with babies. One day, Nick overheard Niku. He was delighted, and as we asked about his baby, I was surprised by each answer. Looking at him a little closer, I thought, what are the odds? Maya asked, what's your last name? I was stunned by his response. Blinking tears, I tell him, I'm your daughter's nurse today. I just left her and she's doing wonderful. Joyfully, he held a hand on his heart as I said her name, blinking back tears of his own. His little daughter was born at less than 30 weeks gestational age and still not even 2 pounds. She was sassy and feisty in her bassinet, her personality shining bright. I'd never taken care of her before that day or even known her name, but I was honoured to care for her many other times after that. I was cheering her on as she grew stronger, helping her learn to eat, loving when she would grasp my finger in her tiny hand. I believe that what we do as nurses matters, but how we do it matters more. Have patience with your patients. My favourite advice ever given to me is keep every note you ever receive as a nurse, not just from patients and families, but also from your co-workers. It will look great in a portfolio. More importantly, it will help you remember the reason why. Today I'm a NICU nurse. My journey has led me through ups and downs. I am grateful for what I've learnt along the way. I keep my RE mementos proudly displayed for inspiration as reminders of how far I've come. I'm not perfect. I've struggled to find my path. Life did not turn out the way I expected, yet I found joy. I didn't know I was missing and made friendships that will last forever. I hope to someday know your story. Thank you for what you do. So Tiffany's practical tip is remember your why and forgive yourself as you learn how. Think about the who and be intentional in the what. The when and where don't matter. You've got this. So Tiffany lives in Salt Lake City, Utah with her boyfriend and 2 cats. She graduated from Dixie State College of Utah in 2004. After many years as a registered nurse, she discovered what she believes is the best kept secret in healthcare, the Neonatal Intensive Care Unit, also known as NICU. She's also certified in neonatal touch and massage. Tiffany is the author of My NICU Story, Written with Love, a beautiful story from the eyes of an infant in the NICU. She's the aunt to 7 nephews and 1 niece, 4 of which are NICU graduates, each with their own unique story. Tiffany's first love in life is reading. She only recently discovered that she enjoys writing as well. She has been known to read an entire book in one day, always on the lookout for a good book. She once read over 1,000 books in a year. Wow, Tiffany. She would love to read more books written by nurses. She has a compassionate heart and strong belief that even in the darkest of places, there's still light. And while every day may not be good, there's good in every day. Sometimes you just have to look a little harder to find. Tiffany's favourite form of social media is Instagram, and you can find her on @just_Tiffa or @Inspired by Nico or @Bookstagram Read. I can't read it properly, but dyslexic. Oh my God, Tiffany, I love that. Reading that again. Thank you so much. If anyone would like to purchase this book, you can purchase it off my charity page, which is currently today in April 2023, opencollective.com/heart-place-charity hospital. Thank you, and I'll read another one tomorrow.